Somebody up there, I think, is looking after me. That's why I got the breaks I did. But luck can't take you everywhere. It just gets you so far. You have to work. But
Do you love beaches? Do you love sports? Do you love scuba diving? Do you love parasailing? Do you love wildlife? Do you love carnivores? Do you want to have a wedding on the beach? We are sitting right here with the managing director and chairman of the biggest and the only resort of Goa. Yes, I'm sitting with Mr. Sunder Advani. Mr. Advani, welcome to my show.
thank you for having me here.
You have the resort in Goa. But my first question to you is India has so many beautiful tourist places. Seventh wonder of the world is in India, Taj Mahal. You are here to promote Goa, and you were here at the consulate, supposed to be in the consulate to promote, but because of your health issues, you could not come physically there. So, but you're sitting here with me. Thank you so much for that. Why Goa?
Well, it's a long story. I'll make it short. I was in charge of Holiday Inns and took Holiday Inns to India in 1972. When I was also running my own hotel at the first airport hotel in Bombay at the airport called Airport Plaza. A gentleman from Goa came to see me. He was an industrialist from Goa. He said, I want to build a Holiday Inn in Goa, and you're the only person who can help me. So come to Goa, and I will like you to select a site for me where I should build my hotel in Goa. So I took up his offer and went down to Goa and spent a week as his guest. And he showed me Goa from one end to the other. And I was amazed at how beautiful Goa was. I'd never seen such beautiful beaches anywhere. I'd been before to beaches in Mexico. I'd been to San Juan. I'd been to Thailand. I'd been to Hawaii. I'd been to Florida. But I couldn't believe it that these beaches were superior to what I'd seen, including what I saw in Sri Lanka. And so he showed me several properties that he was considering, and in fact showed me the property that I eventually bought myself 13 years later. But I couldn't do business with them because they were asking for some money from Holiday Inns America, which I was not authorized to give. I could only give them technical know-how and how to build it and how to operate it and market it. But I couldn't give them any money. So we couldn't go on further. But I remembered my visit to Goa in '74, and in 1987 I bought the exact piece of land that I'd liked even in my first visit. And I was able to find it somehow. It was not easy, but I walked. There was no roads going to this property at all. I'd walk on the sands and saw this had the biggest frontage and the widest beach area. It's important to have a wide frontage before you get to the ocean. And also you have to have a property which has a wide frontage. So I went to this Sarpanch of Goa, and that village, Varka is called the village, and I said, who owns this property? And he gave me the name, and I went to see the gentleman. He didn't know a word of English.
Oh my gosh.
But I had a lawyer who was an MLA of that area who could translate, and he had full confidence. So I bought 95,000 square meters of land and in 1987. And I couldn't do it alone. I had the backing of Ramada USA because I was in charge of, after I left Holiday Inn, I was in charge of Ramada for the whole South Asia. for development for hotels for them. And they had confidence in me, and they said they would put equity in my hotel if they liked my site. So I put together a company, and they became my partners. And they allowed me to use the company's name, Ramada Hotels India Limited, as my company's name. And they were, two of their directors from Phoenix, Arizona, were on my board, and myself and my brother on the board, and we went out and had a public issue on the stock market. And we were very successful. The stock was oversubscribed, and from then on, it's been growing, and that's how we got to Goa.
Wow. Okay. I've been to Goa. I have been there. And I would say I think I went in 2001 with my mom and dad and my husband. I think Marriott just started at that time in 2001. It was a brand new hotel. You were living in America. You went to one of the top Ivy colleges of America, Wharton. You worked in Washington, D.C. People, when they come to America, they usually stay here. I would say 99.99% people don't go back to India. We all know about it. Why did you go back to India after having a wonderful job here in Washington, D.C.?
Well, that was the biggest decision that I made in my life, actually. I came here when I was only 16 years old in Philadelphia. My father wanted me to be a doctor. I said I can't stand the sight of blood. So I said I'll become,
Lawyer?
a pharmacist to help the doctors. So I went to the best. Philadelphia College of Pharmacy was the best college in pharmacy in the world. After a year, I told my dad, I can hire a pharmacist. Why do I have to go to a pharmacy school? So I went to a business school, transferred to Temple University in Philadelphia.
My son went to the same school.
Oh, coincidence. So after graduating there, I was working in summers for a professor who was actually Professor at Wharton. He had a marketing research consulting company in Philadelphia. So he said, Sunder, what are you going to do after you finish your degree? You're leaving our company. I said, I think I'm going back home. He said, why do you want to do that? Why don't you do your MBA in marketing? And I'm a professor of marketing, and I will write a letter for you to the Wharton School. So I convinced my father to let me stay on and do my MBA in marketing. Because I said after I make the products for the people, I'd have to know how to market them. So I need more experience in learning. So that's how I decided to go for my MBA. And then after a while, I liked the American dream. I said, this is a great way of living. I'm earning a nice living. I'm doing well. And by the time I even got a green card, because my first job was in city planning. And then I tried to get a job in New York, which was the largest packaging company in the world, Continental Can Company. They applied for a green card, but it was rejected because they said that we don't need marketing specialists in America. So my lawyer at immigration said, you go back to your first profession, which was city planning, and I'll get you a green card. So I went to work for a company in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and they were city planning consultants. They applied for my green card. I got the green card, and after 6 months, a big company from Washington comes to see me, says, hey, look, we can offer you a much bigger package, twice as much as you're getting. So you move to Washington. So I took the job. And I was living at the famous Watergate Apartments, which was the highest you could get at that time.
Oh, right.
In fact, I had very close neighbors. The Senator Russell Long was my neighbor from Louisiana, and President Nixon's secretary was one of the other neighbors. So I was doing very well, and then I had an urge to do something for India, something or the other, to bring tourists to India. And I was a good friend of the Air India manager in Washington. He said there's a great shortage of rooms, hotel rooms of international standards in India. So I called all the hotel chains in America before I went back to see if any of them wanted to come to India at that time. We're talking about 1969, a long time ago. So at that time, nobody was interested in India except one person from Holiday Inn who said, I'll come and look at your site that you have in mind. My father had meantime found a site at Jewel Beach, not too far from the Sun and Sand Hotel. There was no Marriott at that time. There was just Sun and Sand at that time.
Yes.
So I got excited and I said, okay, Dad, you want me to come back? I'll give it a try. I didn't even take all my luggage with me. I left it there in Washington. I went back, and the guy from Holiday Inn came there, and he loved the site. He said, you've got $1 million location. I'll give you a franchise. So I said, great. Now I have to get together people to put the money in, because I'd only saved, how much you save when you're earning a salary.
Right.
And my father was not able to send me money. He thought he could send me money. He had a hotel in Karachi. But he didn't leave Karachi. He just stayed on and ran the hotel. So he couldn't send me any money after there was a war, 71 in India, Pakistan.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he said, Dad, son, you're on your own. So I had to get a lot of partners involved quickly to get enough wealth return to show Holiday Inn that I had enough money to build a Holiday Inn. So that's how I got involved in. I said, until I have an international brand hotel in India, there were no international brand hotels. There was an Intercontinental, which was in New Delhi. It started in 1966. But that was the only international hotel in India.
Only one.
Only one. So I said, look, you want me to come back? Okay, I'll see if I can manage this, get this thing done. And that's why it was a challenge for me. They didn't hear the name franchising in India before I got there. I said, look, we will get a franchise from them. So I go to the Birlas. I said, would you like to join me? They said, no, we don't want anything to do with meat. We have nothing to do with meat. I went to the Kamani Engineering. They were big at that time. Well, they thought about it, but they weren't too sure. The only person who showed some interest was Raymond's Vijaypat Singhania. He said, I'll do this with you on one condition. You don't own any equity in that company. You'll be my managing director. You'll build other hotels for me, but you don't have any equity in that company. I said, I didn't come here to India to work for another Indian company.
Right.
I came here to do something on my own. So instead I chose a person who was a roommate of my brother at Cornell University Hotel School. I said, this guy, he was interested in joining hands with me. I said, this guy won't screw me, He's a person who lived with my brother. Eventually he did screw me, but anyway, I did finally get a Holiday Inn built in India, because after I got that hotel approved by the government to get the approval for collaboration, got the loan, got a public issue done, he said, I don't need you anymore. But the chairman of Holiday Inns, Kemmons Wilson, became a close friend of mine. He said, I don't know these people, the Khannas. I know only Sunder Advani. So he told them, look, he's going to look after our interests in this country, and he made me head of development for all of South Asia, for building Holiday Inns. So I was lucky in a way, because I was his tennis partner, because he wanted to win at the tennis tournament that he had every year at Memphis, Tennessee, which is the headquarters. And I was a good tennis player, not the great, but a good tennis player. I was captain of my tennis team at Temple. So he wanted to win that tournament. So he said, I want that Indian as my partner. So that's how.
Mr. Advani, tell us about this Ramada Caravela resort. It's a huge resort, what I have seen in the video you have in Goa. Tell us about that resort. Why did you decide to have a resort in Goa?
Well, first I must correct you. It's not called Ramada Caravela anymore. It was called Ramada Caravela till 3 years ago. We had an association with Ramada from 1988 onwards, but they sold the Ramada brand to Marriott, and we became part of Marriott. And then Marriott said that you have to take our Ramada brand, but we will we will not keep any equity in your company, so you have to buy us out. So I had to buy them out. And then they said, we want to manage your hotel. I said, no, I don't want you to manage my hotel. I can run it myself. So after about 87 to 2017, we parted company with Ramada, which became part of Wyndham by that time. So that's the first change I wanted to make in your statement. It's no longer called Ramada, it's called now just Caravela Beach Resort.
Okay, so we are talking about Caravela Beach Resort. You're the one who opened the doors for the international hotels. So tell us about this Caravela Beach Resort.
Well, I'd seen much of India tourist spots before I got to Goa, and even after I got to Goa. And I found Goa, because I was in charge of Holiday Inns and finding sites for them, and then for Ramada also finding sites for them in India. I found there was something unusual about Goa, which I'd never seen anywhere else in India. And I fell in love with Goa. And I decided to sell my hotel in Bombay and move my assets to Goa. And that was in 1987. Now, the reason I decided to build a resort, because I felt that Goa had some of the best beaches in the world that I had ever seen. I'd been to Mexico, I'd been to many countries. And of course, I was fortunate that Ramada at that time was willing to put equity with me in this venture. They put 10% or $800,000. In that time, it was a lot of money for an American company to put in a project which had not even bought land, not even got the plan approved. So there was a big risk and a gamble that they took, but they're willing to take that with me. And the public issue was successful. And so we got the best architect in the world to design this resort for us. And that was from Hawaii, the architect who built the Bellagio in Las Vegas. He built also the Atlantis in Nassau. And also he built the Wynn Resort in Las Vegas and the Hilton Hawaiian Village, the Mauna Kea in Hawaii. So they are the best in the business. And they said, we'll do it on one condition. If you let us see Goa first and then decide what we want to do with that resort that you want to build, and if you give us a free hand, we'll do it for you. And that was in 1988. They came from Hawaii. They looked at Goa. They loved the churches of Goa. They said, do you mind if we make your lobby into a cathedral? I said, fine, do it, absolutely.
Wow.
So that's how it started. And then they said, tell us a little bit more of where your client's going to come from and what they're going to want. And they designed the resort so that we were having the maximum view of the ocean from the room itself. Because the law in India states that you cannot have any building within 200 meters of the high tide line on a beach. So we had to keep all the buildings beyond 200 meters or 550 feet away from the ocean.
What is so special about your resort?
Yes, exactly right. You see, that first 200 meters, you're not allowed to build anything.
Right.
But you can build a golf course. And that's why we told the architect from day one, I want a 9-hole golf course. We have 23 acres of land. You can't do a 18-hole golf course. You need more than 50 acres. So he designed a very challenging par 3 golf course. And many of my friends who come here to our resort say you have a very, very challenging par 3 golf course because they design so you have sand traps at different ports. So you really need some skill to get to do par 3 or even bet. So that was the first, and we got the best landscape architect from Singapore to design the landscaping, because we had only 12 trees when I bought the property. Now we've got 250 coconut trees on there. We plant mangoes, we plant vegetables. We have all sorts of you name it, frangipani, you name all kinds of various unusual plants that he has decided to put in specific places. So you feel like you're in a Garden of Eden when you come there. You don't feel you come to a resort. We have trails that you can do walking all the way through the property. You can do a 1 kilometer trail.
Wow.
You can we do yoga on that area because we do weddings in that area.
Okay.
People love a beautiful wedding with a sunset as a backdrop.
Okay.
So we're very popular for weddings in India, actually. People come from even the United States. One of the boy or the girls from the United States, and they want to call their families to the wedding.
Yeah, destination wedding is very, very popular.
No, it's Goa is the biggest place for weddings, actually.
Okay. You also have casino in Goa. Tell us about that casino. And of course, when we are talking about anything in Goa, this gentleman sitting next to me is the one who invented most of the things in Goa. So tell us about the casino.
Well, you see, I found in Goa at our resort, 6 months of the year, we were having very poor occupancy because it was raining. So I told the chief minister, why don't you allow me to do a casino? He said, well, let me see what you have in mind. So I took the person to see a casino in Europe. And I said, this is what casinos are like. He said, this is what you want to do. Don't have any problems with that, because I took him to what they call an electronic casino.
Okay.
That was in Germany. So he says, well, this seems like it's clean fun. And if you think that you'll get more business for Goa by having such a electronic casino, we'll let you do this. Mm-hmm. So that's how I got the idea, and we bought some machines from Las Vegas and got the casino. I called it Goa Nugget, just like the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas, which I happened to visit one of these trips to Las Vegas. And that we started in 1993, even though the hotel was built in 1990. But then, after a while, there was another chief minister, by the way. And then I said, look, this is just an electronic, you put some tokens in the machine and you pull the machine. I had a roulette machine, but it was not a roulette like you play here. It was
Slot
like
machines.
you put a coin in and you spin something and the roulette wheel goes on and on a screen. I said, look, this is just Mickey Mouse business. Let me do a whole casino.
Okay.
That'll bring more people to Goa. So he said, only on one condition, you don't do it on land, you have to do it on water. Mm-hmm. So I went about finding a ship to put it outside my hotel if I could, and let people gamble on that ship. But unfortunately, the water around the beach gets choppy at certain times of the year. So by that time, I had to find a partner. I didn't know how to run a full casino, So I spoke to Mr. Wynn, Las Vegas. I spoke to a financier of, Mr. Donald Trump at that time in Las Vegas. I spoke to the Venetian people. Nobody wanted to really get involved in India at that time. So somebody from Europe, they were more interested in Casino Austria, was the largest casino operator in Europe. They decided to partner me. So we joined hands with them, and we set up a casino subsidiary company called Advani Pleasure Cruise. And we got a boat built in Goa that did just a 1-hour cruise from Panjim, which is the capital city, to the Marriott Hotel, and came back to the jetty. And they could gamble on when it came back. As long as it was floating, it was allowed to gamble. When we had docked, you could not gamble. So that's the start of the casino industry in India. That real casino industry.
In 93.
In 93, it was an electronic casino.
Electronic. And when did this real
That
casino?
started in 2000, the year 2000.
Oh, okay.
So it was called the Caravela ship. And that's why our hotel is called Caravela today. Originally, our clients were mostly from Europe. They came from England, Germany, Russia, and they came on charter flights directly to Goa. There's the only place in India that allowed charter flights directly to Goa from any other place. Otherwise, you had to come to Bombay or Delhi
Right.
and then take a flight to Goa. But these flights operated 6 months of the year directly from Gatwick Airport, London, to Goa, or from Moscow to Goa, or from Frankfurt directly to Goa. So that was, people want to go directly to where they want to go. That's the idea. They didn't want to have transfers and go places.
No more Bombay to Goa, just like that movie, Bombay to Goa, right? You can go straight to Goa.
Right. So I saw that starting by Condor Airlines, which is from Germany, and they were the first to start these. And so I went to see the president of Condor. I said, "What kind of hotel do you want me to build?" So he told me, "This is what I want, etc., etc." So I built some of those into the hotel that we finally designed. And then the crew started to stay with me from the airline, and they said, "You have to provide the food to us also for the plane, because there's no place I can pick up food to go back." So I started to put food on the flights.
Oh my God.
And then they said after a couple of years, "Look, it's risky to take food from you when you have to drive 20 miles to the airport. If something happens to your high lift, my plane will be stuck. So you build a flight kitchen at the airport for me." So I had to build a flight kitchen at the airport so that all the airlines that are coming from abroad could get food directly at the airport instead of from some other place. So that was another venture I had to start to help go.
So this venture, do you still own it? Because he comes up with the new different ventures and let others run that venture. Then he comes up with another new venture. So tell me, do you still own that venture or you gave it to somebody else?
Well, fortunately, we sold the company to Gate Gourmet, which is a Swiss Air company, just before the 2008 crash. So I get top dollar for my company, and it's never reached that level since I sold it.
Wow. So you didn't have to invest money in the stock market. That is the best stock you had at that time.
So I decided instead to add more rooms to our hotel.
Okay.
Originally, we had only 128 rooms when we built in 1990.
Okay. The hotel, can you just tell our viewers one more time which hotel you're talking about?
Well, when we opened the hotel, it was called the Renaissance Goa Resort. We were part of the Ramada group at that time. In 1995, we're still part of them. They said, "You can go ahead and build more rooms." So they gave me more money, and we had added another 72 additional rooms to our 128 rooms. And we also added other facilities at that time. We put a discotheque, first discotheque in any hotel that area. We put tennis courts, put some health club with jacuzzis.
And spa and everything.
We put Ayurveda spa with treatments. People come from overseas to get treatments, actually.
In Goa, in
our hotel,
resort.
yes.
Oh, okay. Usually people go to Kerala for that. So you're saying people are coming to Goa to your resort
So I solved that problem. I got a specialist from Kerala to run the resort Ayurvedic center for me. So he's a black belt. He's Guruji, we call him. And people come from Germany and UK. They come regularly for treatments. And we also prescribes Ayurveda and also, does treatments right at the hotel. And we even do open air massages on the beach.
You cannot guess his age. Age is just a number. Just a number. And the gentleman who's sitting right next to me is a living example of that. He is...
I hate to tell you, but I'm 83 plus.
I wanted him to tell us. But the kind of spirit he has and energy he has is like,
I feel 35.
okay, I wrote down 38, but all right, 35.
Okay.
I was going to say of 38, but 35, I'll take that.
I feel 35. Okay.
Tell us about your book, Even Against All Odds.
Well, it's traces where I was born, how I got to America via London, how I studied here, how I went back, and of course all the lessons I learned in building the first hotel there, and the different partnerships that I had to go through, and how I eventually decided to not only build 8 hotels in India and Sri Lanka, but also build my own hotel with partners, both in Bombay and in Goa. And of course, it tells you about something about things I enjoy doing, like listening to music, and some of the places that I've traveled all over the world. Because I love to travel, and I feel very comfortable on a plane.
Of course.
So it teaches a lot of some of the failures that I had, how I could have maybe avoided them, and what at least something you should not repeat. If you have a fail, you don't repeat the mistake. So that's what. And of course, I learned that education is really the backbone of people in India. Believe in education, and that's a strong education is what keeps you going in life. And once you have that, you can surmount any difficulties that come in your way. And of course, I found that you have to have a lot of patience in India to succeed. If you're a person who says, okay, I tried this, it didn't work, okay, that's it, well, you're not going to succeed because you will have obstacles.
Right.
But
And in today's youth somehow doesn't have that much patience. They want things to get done like this. So what advice will you give to these youngsters who are watching this show?
You see, as they say, success comes before work only in the dictionary. You have to work. You cannot just succeed. Luck takes you so far. I was very lucky, I thought. Somebody up there, I think, is looking after me. That's why I got the breaks I did. But luck can't take you everywhere. It just gets you so far. You have to work. But problems that you run into in India are surmountable. That means you can get through them if you persevere. The question is, can you persevere and have the patience to persevere? If you want a quick result, you may not get it unless you have a brilliant idea which nobody else thought about. That's why I always tell my friends, find a need and try to fulfill it. And if you found something that doesn't exist in India and you think it's needed in India, well, you have a chance that you can succeed quickly. But sometimes somebody comes along and wants to copy the idea. So you have to have the resilience to stay the course if you really believe in it. I feel, unless you have a passion for something, don't go into it. If you don't have the passion, don't get into it. You can hire people that can, certainly if you want to make a restaurant, you hire a chef. Tomorrow a chef leaves you, you're up high and dry. So you got to have some knowledge of food to get into that business. Otherwise, you will be at somebody's mercy. So I think India has got great potential because, capital is scarce in India. If you have some savings here, if you invest it there, especially with today's exchange rate being favorable, you can get more for your dollar. And of course, because of your being brought up here, you've exposed to more ideas, you see more things, you're ahead because they do more research and development in America than anywhere else in the world. If you catch on to some of these ideas and take them in India, you would be one of the first to introduce a new idea there. And your chances of success are substantially higher than anyone who lives in India.
And you are a living example of that.
Well, I come here every 6 months.
So you come here every 6 months and you take the new ideas. And now after pandemic, things have changed. So what do you think needs to be done in India? Because life has changed of people.
Well, the pandemic has been very, I'd say, fortunate for our hotel in Goa because people want to get to a less crowded place, avoid the crowds. And Goa has only 1.5 million people, that's all.
That's it?
And the largest city has only 115,000, the capital city, Panjim. So it has so much nature to see. 4 of the best beaches in Asia happen to be in Goa. And all those 4 are in South Goa, which is where our hotel is located. There are 2 parts of Goa, North Goa, which is where it's swinging. You know, you have DJs who have the latest music. And you have South Goa, which is more for families and honeymooners and, you know, weddings and things like that. They're not very far apart, 50 kilometers, that's all the distance.
Oh, okay.
But they're like 2 different countries in a way. So I would say that it has been helpful to us because people in India can come to Goa twice a month. They feel that they don't get tired of coming to Goa. It doesn't feel like you have to be there once and you've done it all.
Right.
It's a place that grows on you, and it's you learn a different thing about Goa. I didn't know that we had, for example, such great places where you can scuba dive. I didn't know that myself until recently. And we have such great rare species of birds, and people come from England all the way. They say, Mr. Advani, you know, you have some rare species of birds right on your property. I had no idea. We have lots of trees, but I didn't know that we had a lot of birds, yeah, but I didn't know they were rare, you know. But, and the beach is something like you can walk into it about 100 feet into it and you won't go over your head. So it's gentle and it's so, and we have parasailing outside. I don't own the parasailing, I'm not allowed to. I had to sell my parasailing equipment. They want the Goans to have jobs, so they have their jet skis.
You need
Yeah, and you can see even dolphins almost from our resort. You can far away you can see dolphins.
Wow. Mr. Advani, thank you so much. And I think we all are hungry now. We are sitting here in downtown Wall Street area, very close to the World Trade Center. And before our lunch, we had this chat. Now I think we all are hungry, so we're going to eat something. Thank you so much, Mr. Advani, once again for giving your time to us and teaching us so much from your life experience. And you can buy his book online also and learn and get motivated from that. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for letting me talk about Goa. It's a place that you must visit once in your lifetime at least.
Absolutely. So I'll be there when I go to India next time, and I'll share the live coverage of that place with you. So I want everybody from USA, when you go to India, you can take a straight flight to Goa. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we look forward to it, and we'll give you the presidential suite.
Okay. I'll get the presidential suite. All right. Sounds good to me.